Action, Reverend Okure?
Well, let me pick up with the last comment about UN making policies that should benefit Africa and not the developed countries. You know, Africa is a very rich continent, and I dare say perhaps the richest continent on earth. Why? Minerals, minerals, minerals.
So why
fertile ground for agriculture and all of that.
If that is true, and it probably is, then how do you explain the fact that Africans are the poorest on this planet Earth?
That is at the core of the issue. There are several layers to it. One, Africans themselves, African leaders. Let me start with what President Koroma just said a while ago about the fact that the leaders are elected to serve the interests of the people, but they consider that often they don't do so. And that even when the leader is not performing well and the people try to get rid of him or her, they find other ways to stay in power. And he talked about the rule of law that is lacking. And so when you combine the lack of the rule of law and leaders who don't take into consideration the common good of the people, the interests of the people, then you have a situation where you have a few elites who are in collaboration with multinational corporations to suck off the wealth of Africa to enrich the West. It has happened for over a century, to the extent that Africa is reduced to a perpetual land for the extraction of raw materials. And so that's one set of issues. And we see the growing power of multinational corporations, even in sometimes driving the policies of the United Nations, such that the UN can craft a well-meaning policy, but yet there are fine prints that poke loopholes that you hear people say, oh, is voluntary guidelines, for example. You know, you have this well-crafted policy to protect the poor, but yet you give those with power the power to voluntarily observe it. So it doesn't have the teeth to bite.
I hear you.